Fast as lightning, sharp as a sword. Greetings, YouTube. I'm Lightning Sword, and Season 6 is back. Albeit with a Rainbow Dash episode. Yes, I brought it up before, but I've been dreading this episode. As you all know, I'm not exactly the head of the Rainbow Dash fan club. However, Stranger Than Fanfiction wasn't at all like I expected. I'll explain why as we get into it. This one was written by Josh Haber.
Oh, come on!
And Michael Vogel.
Yay!
Some good to offset the bad. Excellent. Let's dive right in. We start with a daring do escapade, complete with secret caves, falling stone bridges that could easily be flown over, and snakes. Why'd it have to be snakes? Yeah, there'll be a lot more of that later on. Cut quickly to Rainbow Dash, whom a chagrined Twilight is helping to pack for the Daring Do convention.
Don't worry. I'll make sure AK Yearling signs your book.
I can't believe she's gonna be there. She never goes to conventions. Which, I guess, will be cool for all those other fan ponies. But since you and I know AK Yearling personally, and we know that she's secretly daring do herself, it's no big deal.
Dear God, do my eyes deceive me? It's true. Rainbow Dash is being considerate of her friends' feelings. 6 seasons in. No parades for you, precious. So Dash is at the convention, which I would make a smart remark about, but we have our pony conventions as bronies, so we really have no right to talk. And since I personally have never been to a convention in my life, it would just make me look salty, so never mind. And while there, she bumps into another avid Daring Do fan named Quibblepants, voiced by Patton Oswalt. You mean this guy?
And the one guy would walk off the boat and go, "Hey, did you hear the good news about the sky baklava?" And the first guy went, "It's cake, motherfucker, you're dead!"
Okay, well, he worked for Disney and Nickelodeon too, so I guess I got nothing to say.
The hard part was figuring out the right number of arrow holes.
Because on page 84 of Sapphire Stone, it describes her dodging a, quote, score of arrows shooting forth from holes in the very walls, unquote. But then on page 107, Daring Do says she, quote, barely made it past the trap's barrage of arrows, unquote. But clearly, Daring Do is embellishing, and the correct number of arrows is 20!
Jesus Christ, they're breeding. So after what the shippers would instantly call a date, Dash and Quibble settle down for lunch, but that's when things start going south.
That's weird. We've only done stuff from the first trilogy. After lunch, we should probably start working our way back through the other books.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. There are no other books.
Of course there are. Daring Do in the Trek Up the Front Towers, Daring Do in the Many Faces.
Please don't. Just don't even mention the titles. I'm not saying those books don't exist. I'm saying that I refuse to acknowledge them.
My God. Quibblepants is one of those people. Beings that no sane person would dare speak of. Creatures told only in legends to scare children. Disgusting, brutish monsters so vile and despicable that hell itself refuses to accept them. He's a Star Wars fan! Ah! Seriously though, Quibble appears to be that guy in the fandom. You know the one. The one every fandom has. You pick out any long-running, well-established franchise and there's a Quibblepants in that fandom somewhere. Star Wars, Star Trek, Indiana Jones, Doctor Who, Supernatural, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Steven Universe, Batman, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, Final Fantasy, Resident Evil, God of War, Metal Gear Solid, Marvel, The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, American Horror Story, and even SpongeBob. In any one of those fandoms, I guarantee you there's at least 100 Quibbles pissing and moaning about how things aren't the way they used to be. Even in our own fandom, there are bronies and Pegasisters who love the older seasons and refuse to acknowledge the newer ones and the Equestria Girls movies. Even Pokemon, especially Pokemon, has its share of Quibble-like fans. Being a lifelong Pokefan, I should know. There are those people who only care about the first 3 games in the series, Red, Blue, and Yellow, and believe the first 151 Pokemon are the only ones that matter. Our fandom calls them Gen 1ers. I call them pretentious asshats. But what are you gonna do? People have opinions. We may disagree, but it's no reason to fight. Oh, jeez, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Moving on.
Wow. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, but I could never be friends with some pony who's willing to believe impossible stuff is possible as long as Daring Do does it.
That's okay, because I could never be friends with some pony who's so focused on things being possible that he's willing to turn his back on the coolest hero of all time.
Fine.
Fine.
Stellador breakfast treats. Snack time anytime.
So Dash meets up with A.K. Yearling in the hotel lobby, and the former needs to talk about an emergency. Let me guess, she's making her petty squabble with Remy downstairs seem more important than it really is.
What? No. But there is a pony downstairs who thinks everything you've written after the first trilogy is totally unrealistic and terrible. And I need you to help me prove to him that it's all totally possible.
Yeah, that consideration thing with Twilight earlier was a fluke. Thought so. Well, now's the perfect time to remind everyone that the whole Daring Do thing is all real. Still makes no sense. Yearling possesses the amulet of Cuchulainn, which her nemesis, Dr. Caballeron, is after. Something about a key and a chest and a temple of Chico, Chicklet, Chick-fil-A, whatever. This was the part in the Indiana Jones movies I always slept through as a kid. So Daring's at the convention to protect the amulet and asks Dash to keep an eye out.
Does a pony who only likes your first trilogy qualify as suspicious? Just checking.
Stop sticking your petty, insignificant goals into actual life-threatening situations! Sorry, she bugs me, that's all. So back at the con, the real Dr. Caballeron actually shows up. Dash bumps into Quibble again, and the two bicker some more. Derpy is the worst cosplayer of all time, and Dash spills the beans just before the two get captured. At a jungle camp, Caballeron explains in the stereotypical villain monologue that he needs the amulet of Cuckoo to enter the temple of and get whatever's in the chest. And Quibble thinks the whole thing is a fake. I've seen stubborn fans, but this guy makes Gen 1ers start looking at black and white with a little more acceptance.
Okay, we're done here. Great work. Seriously, very believable. Listen, pal, you can keep her money, but I'm not
going anywhere. You may not approve of my plan, but I'm the mastermind here.
debatable.
I should be annoyed by this guy, but I'm really not. In fact, the more snark he gives, the more I like him. So Caballeron does what any villain would do, chains them up and leaves them to their own devices. You could just break their legs, you know. Daring Do would want them back alive, not necessarily intact. Anyway, Quibble's still not buying it, but pretends to play along just to get them both freed. Now, to get through the Daring Do experience, Dash leads Quibble out of the jungle. All the while putting up with Quibble's incessant fanboy babbling.
Would make Daring Do left hook, which we know is false, and that is everything that's wrong with Daring Do and the trek to the terrifying tower. Now, the problems with the next book are even...
This guy could make a Star Wars original trilogy fan want to bang Jar Jar Binks in a sleazy Mos Eisley hotel room just to get him to shut the hell up. And we're back to the rickety bridge of cliche peril. Remember that from the first episode?
I'm all for making things feel as real as possible, but are these adventurecation ponies sure this thing is safe?
Is it too realistic for you? Wouldn't want that on a Daring Do adventure, would we?
Realism is having Rainbow Dash fly Quibble Pants over the bridge altogether. So I'm kind of on Quibble's side with this one. But of course, the bridge breaks. Dash tries to save Quibble. We get an uncomfortably long shot of Quibble's ass, and the bridge disintegrates entirely.
You need to get your money back.
Might help pay for a new bridge. And after a convoluted danger sequence, the pair makes it out alive.
That was awesome! I thought we... And then you began the flying. Well, and I was like, where are you going? And then you swerved? And I was on the water and the rocks. Wow!
I get the feeling most of that was improv.
Yeah, if you read that in a book, you might even think it was unrealistic.
Just can't let that petty shit go, can you? Unfortunately, the two inadvertently led Caballeron and his boys to the Temple of... and are captured again.
You'll never get away with this!
Really? My god, Dash, you should know better than that. Fanfic writers have written better lines than that. I should know, I'm one of them. And Quibble still isn't buying it. In fact, now he's convinced he's still right. I give the writers this much praise in pairing Rainbow Dash with some pony as petty, self-important, and hard-headed as she is. But during Quibble's tirade, he triggers a water trap that floods the temple, summons a giant monster, and screws every pony over badly. But at least he's a believer now. That's something.
Hey! Don't you close that door! Don't you close that door!
And naturally, who should come to the rescue in the nick of time but Daring Do herself? And yes, this face makes me want to shoot Dash even more now.
Later. Right now, we have to...
Get out of here, yes! Thank you!
Actually, no.
What?
We can't leave without the treasure.
And why the hell not? Aren't your lives more important than some relic? Oh yeah, all that belongs to Coronado. This should be in a museum bullshit, right? Okay, fine, moving on. That's when they get to the tricky door puzzle that Professor Layton could sleep through and still solve.
Each door has another door that matches. These two both have earth ponies fighting serpents. These two have Pegasi fighting griffins. These two have unicorns fighting bears, but this one...
Has an alicorn on it. It's the only one without a match. How did I miss that?
I've been asking myself that ever since book 4.
Will you cretins please keep your petty bullshit out of the task at hand? And finally, they find the 7-sided chest of Chico marks. But the water level's too high now and they need to escape.
The way out is totally covered. How are we gonna get out of here?
Fly out!
There!
Seriously, do you ever not escape out of the top of a temple?
Nerd! Anyway, the Pegasi fly Quibble out of the temple. Obvious Last Crusade reference is obvious.
Go around! You can't go over him!
Go over him? Are you crazy?
Are you crazy? Don't go between them!
Go between them! Are you crazy?
And the trio make it out alive. That's when Daring sicks the monster onto the bad guys to make them scream like little girls, while she gives them directions out before ditching them to go teach archaeology or something. And now the lesson we've all been waiting for.
So, maybe the later books are slightly more realistic than I gave them credit for. Still don't like them.
What? How can you...
Wait, hold on. Before we get in another fight, I think I finally figured it out. I love the Daring Do that solves puzzles and uses her brain to get out of tough situations, and she did way more of that in the original trilogy. You love the Daring Do that is brave and awesome and comes out on top no matter what the odds.
Okay.
And that's okay.
Say it again!
And that's okay.
One more time for the people in the back.
And that's okay.
Finally! I've been waiting for someone to say that to this fandom for years now. You can have differing opinions. It's not the end of the world if someone disagrees with you. I know I'm guilty of this too, but this and many fandoms out there need to get it through their heads that different and even unpopular opinions are not some kind of taboo thing that need to be ostracized or attacked or mentioned in videos to rally followers against that person like a torch and pitchfork mob in an old Frankenstein movie. Contrary to what some people may say, you know who you are, especially if you think asking for opinions about something makes that person a cowardly weasel when it really means that they have opinions and no amount of name-calling and video mentions can change it. Deal with it. Moving on before this gets any more personal. And after some ego-stroking, phony modesty, and face-saving, Quibble and Dash walk back together, with Quibble talking more about his thoughts on Daring Do.
I think I can make things way clearer. I mean, for instance, in the second adventure, there's a side character. I don't want to
During the
name it
credits.
right now because it's sort of this thing that I've already written a lot of fan fiction on. I don't want, not that I'm saying that you would steal it, but I am saying that this would totally go along my whole thing about puzzle solving, except what if each puzzle that was solved unlocked a new karate move? Think of it that way, right? I mean, I'm kind of a girl like myself, so I'm sure she'd be open to...
Quibble?
Sorry.
And that was Stranger Than Fanfiction. And it wasn't that bad. Threw up in my mouth a little. Yes, I know. Lightning Sword likes a Rainbow Dash episode. Shock and awe. Don't get me wrong, I still think Dash is a lousy character, and I highly doubt that will ever change. But I suppose if you put a gun to my head and coerced me into choosing a favorite Rainbow Dash episode, this would probably be it. It has great action sequences and character interactions, and despite the confusion that Daring Do is a real character who writes her own novels under a pen name, it was cool to get back that Indiana Jones feel again. And yes, I actually like Quibblepants as a character. Again, I'm glad the writers gave Dash's unstoppable force her very own immovable object to play off of. And Quibble's lines and personality, coupled with Patton Oswalt's delivery, makes him humorous enough to be tolerable, even when he shouldn't be. I think the main reason I enjoyed him so much is that he's not a character so much as he's a caricature. He's an exaggeration of the unsatisfied fan. And considering Rainbow Dash's obsession with the franchise, it makes Quibble a perfect foil for her. Bear in mind he's not that much of an exaggeration. I've seen real people act just like him. Overall, a good episode. Dash's worst traits aren't distracting or annoying enough to make me hate it, but they're not gone entirely, which means I can't love it. Either way, I expected a repeat of Newbie Dash in performance and was pleasantly surprised. If only we'd gotten episodes like this 5 seasons ago, I'd probably like Dash more if she actually developed. Now remember, I have opinions. They are different from yours.
And that's okay.
Mic drop. Anyway, I'm gonna go see if I can stem the flow of Quibble Dash ship fix. If you like the review, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll be back with a new video soon. Until then, this is Lightning Sword. Stay quick, stay sharp, and thanks for watching. Adventure is out there. Okay, that's Pixar. Perfect. The complete list of companies that will sue me by the time this video goes up.